You see Andrew Toney on the court, lighting up defenders and draining shots like it was nothing. Then you see him passed out, his career destroyed, his body broken, and his spirit crushed by the very team he helped bring a championship. This is the tragic story of how the Philadelphia 76ers turned one of their brightest stars into a forgotten name. A cautionary tale of betrayal and institutional failure. Andrew Toney should be remembered as a legend, but instead, he became a victim of one of the ugliest scandals in basketball history. How did a player so talented end up with a career cut short at just 30 years old? Andrew Toney was the 8th overall pick in the 1980 NBA draft by the Philadelphia 76ers. The team was already loaded with future Hall of Famers like Julius Erving and Moses Malone. Toney quickly became a key part of this powerhouse lineup. He helped the 76ers win the 1983 NBA championship by sweeping the Los Angeles Lakers. His scoring ability was exceptional, and he earned the nickname the Boston Strangler for his ruthless performances against the rival Boston Celtics. Celtics guard Danny Ainge once said he feared Toney more than Michael Jordan. That is how good Andrew Toney was. He became a two-time NBA All-Star in 1983 and 1984. In 1984, he averaged a career-high 20.4 points per game. Everything seemed perfect for Toney. He was young, talented, and part of a championship team. But then, everything fell apart. Before we continue, make sure to hit that subscribe button and drop a comment below. What do you think about how the 76ers handled Andrew Toney's injuries? Was it fair, or did they destroy his career? Let us know your thoughts. The downfall started during the 1984-85 season. Toney began experiencing severe foot pain. This happened right after he signed a massive 7-year, $5 million contract. The timing could not have been worse. The 76ers medical staff examined him and claimed they found nothing wrong with his feet.
This led to an ugly public fight with team owner Harold Katz. Katz and others in the organization suspected that Toney was faking his injury. They believed he was trying to avoid playing after securing his big payday. The accusations were harsh and humiliating. Management did not believe him. They thought he was lying about the pain. Instead of supporting their star player, they turned against him. The team put him on injured reserve not because of his injury, but for having a bad attitude. Management ordered him to play or face suspension. They did not care about his health. They only cared about getting their money's worth. Toney knew something was seriously wrong with his body. He decided to seek outside medical help because the team would not listen to him. The outside doctors diagnosed him with stress fractures in both feet and bone spurs in his ankle. These were real, serious injuries, but by the time he got the proper diagnosis, it was too little, too late. The damage to his career was already done. The relationship between Toney and the 76ers was completely broken. There was no trust left. The organization had accused him of being a liar and a quitter. Meanwhile, Toney was suffering from legitimate injuries that were being ignored. The stress fractures were painful and debilitating. Every step he took caused agony. The bone spurs made it nearly impossible to run and jump the way a professional basketball player needs to. Yet the team kept insisting he was fine. They kept pushing him to play through pain that would have sidelined most athletes permanently. Things got even worse in March 1986. Management ordered Toney to return to play despite his injuries. The team physician called it a trial by battle. Think about that phrase for a moment. A trial by battle. Critics condemned this as heartless and cruel. It showed that the organization cared more about short-term profit than the long-term health of their player.
They were willing to sacrifice Toney's body just to get him back on the court. This was not just bad management. This was an ethical failure. They were asking an injured player to destroy what was left of his career for their benefit. The physician's words revealed everything wrong with how the team approached the situation. They saw Toney as property, not as a person. They saw him as an investment that needed to pay off, not as a human being in pain. But the humiliation did not stop there. In 1985, based on nothing more than unsubstantiated rumors, 2 NBA employees camped outside Toney's house overnight. At 7 in the morning, they insisted that he take a drug test. Toney passed the test. He was clean. But the damage was already done. Toney believed that the 76ers management was behind the entire incident. Both the team and the NBA denied any involvement. But Toney was convinced. He saw it for what it was. He called the forced test an indignity and an act of institutional betrayal. He believed it was a tool designed to damage his character and weaken his position in the contract dispute. The organization wanted to paint him as a problem player. They wanted to turn public opinion against him. This was not just about basketball anymore. This was about destroying a man's reputation. The test was designed to humiliate him and make him look suspicious, even though there was never any evidence of wrongdoing. The fact that employees showed up at his home in the early morning hours shows how far they were willing to go to intimidate him. The conflict created so much bad blood that Toney made a decision. He vowed never to set foot in the Spectrum, the team's arena, again. He refused to speak to Philadelphia reporters after leaving the team. When he retired in 1988 at the age of 30, he cut off all ties with the organization. He refused to attend any Sixers game or team event. This estrangement lasted 24 years. Think about that. For 24 years,
Andrew Toney wanted nothing to do with the team he helped win a championship. He did not return until a reunion in May 2012. That is how deep the betrayal cut. The wound was so severe that even decades later, he could not bring himself to face the organization that destroyed him. His career literally limped to an end. Over his final 3 seasons, Toney played only 87 games. His body was broken. The injuries that the team initially claimed did not exist had destroyed him. He was forced to retire at just 30 years old. This was a player who should have had years of elite basketball ahead of him. Instead, he was done. His potential was wasted. His prime years were stolen from him by an organization that refused to believe he was hurt. Andrew Toney should have been a Hall of Famer. He should be remembered alongside Julius Erving and Moses Malone. But instead, he remains a forgotten star. Most younger fans have never even heard of him. All of his principal teammates from the 1983 championship are in the Hall of Fame, but Toney is not. He is the forgotten star of that team. The debate over his Hall of Fame exclusion continues to this day. Those who argue for his inclusion point to his efficiency. He had a career field goal percentage of .496. In the playoffs, he averaged 17.4 points per game over 72 contests. These are impressive numbers, but the argument against him is simple. He lacked longevity. He only completed 6 full seasons and played 460 total games. His career was cut short before he could build the resume needed for the Hall of Fame. But whose fault was that? The 76ers destroyed his career. They ignored his injuries. They accused him of faking. They humiliated him with a forced drug test. They ordered him to play through the pain until his body gave out. Andrew Toney's career was not ended by bad luck. It was ended by institutional betrayal. If the organization had listened to him from the start, if they had believed him when he said he was hurt,
his career might have been saved. Instead, they made everything worse. After basketball, Toney's life has been quiet. He lives outside of Atlanta and has worked as an elementary school teacher and mentor. The contrast is striking. He went from being the Boston Strangler, one of the most feared players in the NBA, to working with young children in a classroom. This was a deliberate retreat. Toney walked away from the high-stakes environment that betrayed him. He chose a life of peace and purpose over the toxic world of professional basketball. He found meaning in helping others, in shaping young lives. But it should not have ended this way. Andrew Toney should be celebrated as one of the greats. Instead, he is a cautionary tale. His quiet life teaching children shows the kind of person he truly was, someone who valued integrity and kindness over fame and recognition. If you enjoyed this video and want to see more stories like this, make sure to subscribe to the channel. Hit that notification bell so you never miss an upload. We bring you the untold stories of sports history, the ones that deserve to be remembered. Andrew Toney's story is a tragedy. It is a reminder of how professional sports organizations can fail their players. The 76ers did not just lose a great player. They destroyed him. They ignored his pain, questioned his character, and forced him to play until his body could not take it anymore. And then they wondered why he wanted nothing to do with them for 24 years. Toney deserved better. He gave the team everything he had. He helped them win a championship, and in return, they broke him. Today, he is a forgotten star, known only to those who remember the 1980s NBA. But his story should be told. It should be a warning about what happens when organizations prioritize profit over people. The way they treated him was inexcusable. They had a responsibility to protect their player.
Andrew Toney's career was not ended by injury alone. It was ended by betrayal. His talent was undeniable. His work ethic was strong, and his loyalty to the team was absolute. Yet none of that mattered when the organization decided he was expendable. The basketball world lost a superstar because one team refused to do the right thing. They chose money over morals. And Andrew Toney paid the price with his entire future. And that is the real tragedy of what happened to Andrew Toney.